Okay, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Morning Market Review. It's always a pleasure having you guys here, right? It's always a pleasure having to speak to quite a number of bright minds, right, regarding the markets, right? So I've not shared my screen yet. I was just saying my pleasantries. So I believe we all had a wonderful night rest, and we are looking at making some good money today, right? So we're quickly going to dive into it. We already have quite a number of persons in here, and let's quickly just dive into it. So first thing I do as a trader, of course, I check out fundamentals that we have for the day. Right, that's it's more like you wake up in the morning and say your devotions, also read your Bible and all of that. So as a trader, that should be your first point of action before deciding what trades to look into. Right. So that being said, we are going to dive into Forest Factory to determine what instruments we would be considering for today. Right. A lot of traders make that mistake. They just pick random instrument, and sometimes it ends up badly for them because they didn't make trading has to do with from your analysis. Everything has to start with your selection process. So selecting the right instrument you're going to be trading on that day based on the volatility you're expecting in the market. I think that way you become a much more profitable trader, right? So let's quickly dive into it. Firstfactory.com. Okay, so I believe you can all see my screen. Okay, it's loading. It's loading. Okay, perfect. So my screen is now being shared. I believe you can all see my screen and you can hear me clearly. If you can't hear me clearly, please check with your device audio and try and rectify it so that you could enjoy the class. So today we are expecting quite a number of high impact news. We already had high impact news come out from the AUD zone around 2 a.m. So if you are a night crawler, I'm definitely not a night crawler. I don't even know what happens at night. Once I sleep, that's all. Right. So if you're a night crawler and you can still afford to key into the financial market during the Asian section, trading around 2 a.m. to 4 a.m., you would have been able to key into this news, right? So it actually came out negative for the AUD. We had their CPI. So AUD on the Australian dollar, they had their CPI. A lot of people are just familiar about US CPI. There are also CPI in other regions, right? CPI is Consumer Price Index, and it's on all economy is expected to give out their consumer price index data, right? So on the AUD, we had their CPI, we had their CPI quarterly and their CPI yearly, right? Then we also have their trimmed mean CPI, right? So all of these came out negative. We had this came out negative, this also came out negative, this one came out neutral. So we should be expecting a weaker AUD for today, right? And since we're no longer expecting any news on the AUD, we're expecting a weaker AUD for the whole of today. So I'd be looking at selling off AUD because of course we're expecting a weak AUD. Then by 3 p.m. Today we are expecting the new home sales, right? We are expecting the new home sales. We're also expecting FOMC statement, right? We're also expecting the federal fund rates on the USD. So on the dollar, we're going to have a busy day on the dollar starting from 3 p.m., right? And of course, the US session opens by 2:30. So starting from the open of the US session, which is by 2:30 to 3, all the way down to 7 p.m. and 7:30, we'll be having quite a busy day on the dollar, right? So we're expecting a whole lot of volatility. So consider trading the dollar and the dollar index, the dollar and the US stocks for today. Also, you chip in gold, right? Those are the instrument of preference. Right? Those will be my instrument of preference. So if I'm going to be trading the dollar today, already I know what the AUD has done. So I most likely will be buying the dollar against the AUD to give me a better buy preference. So an instrument like a AUD USD, I'm actually going to be selling it, right, to buy the dollar and sell off the AUD, right? So that being said, let's quickly look at currency strength meter also to get a good outlook of what the currency strength of each of these currencies are giving off at this point in time. So currency strength meter on a daily time frame, we're seeing AUD currently the weakest, right? AUD is currently the weakest instrument. So you're looking at selling of the AUD against other currency pair. Against other currency pair, you're selling of the AUD. So it's the weakest, very, very weak at this point in time. Even if you're looking at it on a 1 hour time frame, looking at it on a 1 hour time frame, you also see AUD somewhat around the bottom. Then you have NZD currently weak. But I like looking at it on an holistic view, either on a daily time frame or on a 1 hour, on a 4 hour time frame. Though on a 4 hour time frame, you're seeing that USD is most likely weak, right? AUD is up here, but like I said, if I'm looking at it in a holistic view, right? So going to a daily time frame gives me the overall, right, the overall strength of that particular currency for the whole day, right? So for the whole day, I'm expecting, but because if you're looking at it on a smaller time frame, because this is in real time, you could see here, this is in real time, right? You this thing is expected to change. Looking at it on a 1 minute time frame, if you stay on the chart for a few minutes, you see that it changes, right? It changes. So you don't want to have you don't want to have that noise, right? You want to filter out that noise, going to a higher time frame to get a holistic view of the currency strength, which is most likely on a daily time frame, right? So that being said, let's quickly just dive down into the charts. Let's quickly dive down into the charts. I use my MT5. I'm coming. Hold on, let me get my chart. I don't know if this flu is a general thing. Am I the only one that caught the flu because of this rain? I've been feeling very, very terrible. Okay. Please hold on while my MT4 is coming. My MT5 is coming up. All right. It's up. Let me share my screen. Okay, perfect. So we already have a good idea of the fundamentals we'll be expecting for today. So of course, we're looking at a weak AUD. We're expecting news on the dollar, right? So we're going to be taking more of the USD pair. We also look at some of the AUD pair in order to sell off the AUD and make small gains this morning, right? So but before we go into that, let's quickly look at dollar index. Right, let's look at dollar index. So dollar index will be the first instrument we'll be looking at today. So USD IDX, for those that don't know the quoting for dollar index, USD IDX. So you can see that dollar index has actually been getting a good uptrend after the major fall. Dollar index actually the beginning of the month, I really had a lot of problems with the dollar index. The dollar just kept getting weak and weak and weak, and we had this major fall, right? I was just so angry with the dollar because I had some major trades. I swing on some trades, right, which I was expecting because for the dollar is it's a currency that you don't expect it to stay too weak for too long, right? So regardless of whatever is happening in the economy, they always find a way to bounce back and get a stronger dollar. But we just realized that from the beginning of the month down to roughly around the middle of the month, we had a weak dollar, and it was weak day in, day out, day in, day out. It was just very, very weak. And it was, I think a lot of persons actually complain about that, and some persons even lost their account as a result of that, right? So that's why in this market, you also need to be prepared. It might be as a result of having extra funds to hold on to your trade, pending on, especially if you're a swing trader, right? If you're a swing trader and you're trading this, right, most likely if you are taking a swing from here down to this point, right, you would have cut out this. This would have taken you how many days? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, roughly around 7 days, if I'm not mistaken, from the 15th to the 13th. This is on a 1 hour time from here, from the 15th to the 17th. But it actually started on a flat market, then going into a downtrend. But the good thing now is the dollar is getting strong, and that uptrend might still continue. Looking at this good uptrend line we have drawn here, so price is coming back to test my trend line, and then because we have news coming up on the dollar today, we most likely would still be expecting a further uptrend, at least back to, even if it doesn't get all the way to this resistance point, at least it should get close to that region. So my preference on the dollar index is actually going to be a buy, right? So let's now determine good entry for a buy. Now let's determine good entry for a buy. So if you're looking at it, currently we have price on a support zone. Let's zoom in a little bit. And okay, make this like this. So currently we have price on a support zone, right? We have price on a support zone. So price is being rejected from this point. And you could see that the previous candle here, we have what we call a spinning top, right? This is a spinning top. So if I'm looking at it technically, I'm getting a candlestick formation, yeah, which is my spinning top. So what I just need now is my confirmation candle. So whenever you see special candlestick on a support zone or on a resistance point, right? Just like we had here where we had our gravestone doji, right? We have a sorry, this is a long leg doji, right? So for those that don't understand candlestick pattern, yeah, I might be sounding like I'm talking gibberish or something, but if you've done proper study on candlestick pattern, it's the Japanese way of trading, right? And you know, when it comes to the Japanese, you know, they are very, very advanced when it comes to tech and when it comes to trading, finance, and all of those things. So this was a trading strategy that they came up with, looking at the candlestick formation, and based on and each candle actually tells you something. A lot of persons don't know that each candle you see on the market actually tells you something, right? So if you're seeing something like this, let's just take one or two candles for example. If you're seeing a candle like this is what we call a marombozo. It simply means that there is a lot of buyer pressure in the market and very few seller pressure. So most likely price might continue to go up, which the next candle actually pushed up, right? If you're seeing something like this, right, this is an inverted hammer telling you that there's a lot of seller rejection. Look at price went all the way to this point, but sellers brought the price back down. So each candle has what it is telling you. All you just need to do is to pay attention and listen closely. You will definitely get what the candle is telling you, and based on that you can now act in the market. So here we have a spinning top, meaning price got all the way down here, right? But it was rejected. So you had a lot of buyers pressure coming into the market to reject the selling price. And now currently buyers are currently in the market, and if this price should close bullish, that's your confirmation for you to go in for a buy. So I most likely will be going in for an instant buy on the dollar index up until the next resistance point here, right? An instant buy on the dollar index up until the next resistance point here. So you could go in with me for a buy, an instant buy on the dollar index up until the next resistance point. So the next resistance point is around 101.252, 101.252, right? So I'd go in for that. Of course, you want to put your stop loss if price breaks below that point, right? If price breaks below that point, you want to put your stop loss below that support zone, right? Below that support zone. Let me change the color for that so we get a more defined outlook, right? So I want to put my stop loss at around price level 100.757, right? So an instant buy up until the next resistance at 101.252, and put your stop loss at 100.757, right? That's for the dollar index, the first instrument done. So I'm going to go in for AUD USD. Don't forget AUD is weak, so I want to take advantage of the AUD as much as I can. So I'm looking at AUD USD. AUD USD. So we had after the news came out around 2, we had this major spike down, right? We had this major spike down as a result of the AUD, and it went all the way down, but the price is actually trying to recover the major losses based on the CPI news that came out on the AUD zone, right? But I'm still expecting a sell, right? My preference on AUD will still be a sell. Don't forget, AUD is still the weakest currency of the bunch, right? So I'm going to be going in for. Please turn off your cam when you join in so you don't distract others. We don't want to see your face. What we want to see is the chart, right? So I'm having AUD currently buying, and that's because it's trying to just recover a little bit of the losses from the CPI, but I still expect a further sell on this instrument. And you can see that price has been, if you check closely, right, where price is currently struggling at is also a resistance point. You could see price was rejected. Here was once a support for price, which acted as a support for price here around the 19th and the 20th of July. That point acted as a support for price. So it's not a surprising thing that price is struggling to go above that point, right? So if price is not able to break above that point, I most likely will be going in for a sell back to this support zone where price was fully rejected. So price would actually come back down to test this support zone. And if it breaks that as a result of the news coming out on the AUD, then you might continue to see a further sell. So on this also, I'll be going in for a sell. But if you watch closely also, there's a rejection point around here. So I wouldn't want to trade in between this region here, right? I wouldn't want to trade in between this region. Let me take out some of the lines so that you are getting a definite this thing. Let me take out this. So I was saying this place is actually serving as a resistance point for price, right? So I most likely wouldn't want to go in for don't forget my preference is a sell. So, but here also we have a support. Here is being here price is being resisted. Here you have price being supported. So I'd want to go in for a sell once price is able to break below this point. Once price is able to break below this point. So that point to be at a price level 0.67553, 0.67553, 0.67553. I'll go in for a sell at around that point. Take my profits downwards price level 0.67242. 0.67242. I'm going for my take profit at around that point. Of course, you could put in your stop loss if price breaks above that point. Should price break above that point, that's in an event where it comes out negative for the dollar. Of course, you just want to cut out that trade because holding in a sell trade wouldn't be a smart move anymore. So you could put your stop loss at around 0.67754, 0.67754. 0.67754. I put my stop loss at around that point, right? So if it comes out negative for the dollar, of course you should see, and of course if it comes out negative for the dollar, you shouldn't be seeing the AUD actually gain a whole lot of strength. Don't forget the AUD on its own is weak based on the CPI that came out on AUD zone. So what you'll be getting is more of a ranging market. So if it comes out negative for the dollar, it's just best you just leave the AUD chart. Just leave the AUD chart and proceed to other instruments where you make much more profitability from, right? So that's my take on AUD USD. My preference is still a sell, right? So that's on the AUD. Let's look at another instrument paired with the AUD before we look at the USD pair, right? Just to take advantage of the weakness of the AUD, right? So let's look at AUD JPY, right? AUD JPY, you had this as a result of the CPI, the negative CPI from the AUD zone. You have JPY actually gain a whole lot of strength, and that strength is still in play, right? We had a little bit of recovery, but that strength is still in play. Price being supported at this point here, I still feel there should be further room for price to continue selling on AUD JPY. I still feel there should be further room for price to continue selling on AUD JPY down to this support zone, And if you check it, we had a special candlestick formation here. Yeah, you have what we call your gravestone doji. This is your gravestone doji, right? You have your gravestone doji here with your bearish confirmation candle, and it's not just any kind of bearish confirmation candle. You have your inverted hammer, and all this happened at a resistance point. You have spinning top, your gravestone doji, you have your inverted hammer with your bearish confirmation candle. So I'm seeing just a sell. Technically, fundamentally, I'm seeing a sell on AUD JPY. So I wouldn't want to go in for an instant sell now because, like I said, price is currently struggling on this support zone. So I want to go in for a sell if price is able to break that support zone at price level 95.135. 95.135. If price breaks below that point, I go in for a sell down to price level 194.859. 94.859. So that's what I'm actually going to be putting on my AUD chart. So that's AUD JPY. That's for AUD JPY. My preference is still a sell. So depending on the effect of the dollar, but I still feel sentiment around the dollar should still give, because don't forget that news is coming out by 3, right? So most times you get positive sentiment around that particular instrument till the news comes out. So of course, when the news comes out, you now have a clear-cut direction as to where the market is going to go. But technically speaking, I'm still seeing a further sell on AUD JPY. So that's all for the JPY, for the AUD pair. Let's now look at the USD pairs. Let's look at the USD pair. Since we don't have any high impact news coming out on other currencies, I most likely will be sticking out my neck in favor of the USD today, right? I'll be sticking out my neck in favor of the USD today. So currently we have a ranging market. We've had a ranging market since yesterday evening up until this morning. So of course, the best strategy to trade a ranging market is to trade the breakout, right? So you wouldn't want to trade in between this price region, right? Oh Lord. Am I the only one that caught this flu? I can't be the only one that caught this flu. So I'd want to trade if price breaks either below or above this ranging point. But of course, I'm sticking my neck out for the dollar, expecting that the dollar should gain a lot of boost as a result of the news coming out today. So my preference would still be a sell, right, on GBP USD. But hold on, let's look at the currency strength meter again, right? Let's look at the currency strength meter again so that we don't make decisions in a haste. Let's look at the currency strength meter again. All right, so where's the GBP? Okay, the GBP is fairly weak, right? The GBP is fairly weak also. So of course, fundamentally also and sentimentally, I'm looking at a weaker GBP, a stronger dollar. Of course, I'm looking out for a sell on GBP USD. Let's go back to our chart. I'm still pushing in for a sell on GBP USD. So I'm going in for a sell if price breaks below this point. So if price breaks this ranging point, I'm going for a sell down to the next support at around here. Down to the next support at around here. So I'm going in for a sell at around price level 1.28753, 1.28753, 1.28753. I'm going in for a sell if price breaks below that point. Don't forget this entry point. I'm not telling you to put your price on that entry point. Those are support points and resistance points. Look for an entry either below that point, right? If it is a sell, you're looking for an entry below your support. If it is a buy, you're looking for an entry above your support. Don't make that mistake, because you might put your entry on the support and then there'll be a rejection and then you're caught in the crossfire, right? You want to be a smart trader and look for an entry. When I say an entry below that point, so this is the support zone. I'm looking for an entry below that point, so I could use my crosshair to pick any entry. In as much as you're trading in between this region, you're good to go, right? So you, of course, you want to put your entry close to, right, just before just after the support, then taking your profit before the resistance. Of course, you're not putting your take profit on the next support, rather. You're not putting your take profit on the next support. You want to put your take profit before that point. The whole idea is for price to hit your take profit before getting rejected from the support, right? Okay, I've said that, and I don't think I'll go back to that again. So that's my preference for GBP USD. A sell, you could sell once price breaks below here. Of course, you serve this point as your stop loss. So I would want to be putting my stop loss at let me change the color of this so we have a more defined this thing. Okay, so I'd want to put my stop loss if price trades above this resistance point. So if price is able to break above this resistance point, you could have your stop loss at price level 1.29102, 1.29102, 1.29102. I put my stop loss there, and if it goes in favor of of course, if it comes out negative for the dollar, you might most likely see the GBP gain a little bit of strength, but we are not expecting high impact news on the GBP, so you might still continue to get a ranging market, right? You might still continue to get a ranging market, right? Because we don't have any news coming out on the GBP, and GBP on its own, it's weak, right? So that's it for GBP USD. That's it for GBP USD. So let's look at another USD pair. Let's look at Euro USD. Of course, Euro also, we're not expecting any high impact news, right? On the Euro also, we are not expecting any high impact news. Sorry, let me take out some of these lines. All these lines are from past analysis. So let me take out some of them, so we have just fewer. All right. So on Euro USD also, I think same thing too. The euro, did we check the strength for the euro also? I think the euro has been a little bit strong this morning. We have a stronger euro compared to what we have on the USD, right? But I still expect an overtaking of the euro from the USD once it's getting close to when the news will be coming out. So I expect that by the end of today, we should have a stronger USD compared to the euro, right? But the euro on its own is fairly doing well, and that's why you're having this buy move in the market, at least, right? So price might actually buy up to this, and you could see that the previous candle we have, we have a period of indecision in the market, though a candle before that we had a full-fledged marambozo, right, where this is an indication that there's a lot of buyer pressure in the market, right? This is an indication of a lot of buyer pressure in the market. A full-fledged candle without much of a wick, or without much of a tail or a shadow, depends on what you know it's by. Your shadow is this line here, following, trailing your candlestick. So if you look at this one, it doesn't have much of a shadow or a tail or a wick, depending on what you know it by, right? So it always indicates price continuity. Anytime you see something like that, most times it indicates price continuity, that price might continue in that direction. So in this case here, I still expect that price, and looking at it now, price is actually at a resistance point here. Price is currently at a resistance point, or it has closed. It has, yeah, looking at it, if you look at it closely, it has closed above that resistance point, right? Yeah, it closed above that resistance point. That resistance point was at this place. That was around the 24th. Yeah, that was around the 24th of this month, right? That was day before yesterday. We had a resistance, a support, which is now a resistance, but this morning price has broken above that point, so it will be heading straight to the next resistance at the top, which is around here at price level 1.10857. Price is heading all the way down to this point. So wow, what I'm going to be doing for euro USD, I'm going to be using a sell limit, right? I'm going to be using a sell limit because I expect that price would get here and not be able to break above these points. I expect price to get here and then get rejected and start coming back down. Right, I expect price to get here, get rejected, and start coming back down. So I put a sell limit. So once price buys up to this point, it triggers my sell, and then once it starts coming down, back down, I should be in good profit, putting my take profits at around the bottom here, right? At around the bottom here, right? Then I can add my stop loss at above that resistance point, right? So my entry will be a sell at price level 1.10815, right? And my entry will be at around that point. I put a sell limit at around that point, or I could wait for price to get to that point and then start selling from that point, right? So a sell limit at around price level 1.10815, right? I put my stop loss at around 1.10919. I put my stop loss at around that point. Then I put my take profit at the bottom, yeah, around the support here, because of course, once price gets to this support, there's you're possibly going to be getting a rejection if the volatility from the news is not so strong, right? But if the volatility is strong, it might break that support and keep going down. But to be on the safe side, you might want to cut your profit somewhere around this region at price level 1.10386, at price level 1.10386. Around that point, you want to ensure that you're out of the market before price hits your support. So that would be my preference for euro USD this morning, right? So I think we've looked at how many instruments. We've looked at 4 instruments. Is that 4? 5. We've looked at 5 instruments. Let's look at an extra 5 and then we'll call it a day, right? So let's look at USD JPY. Let's look at USD JPY. So for USD JPY, of course, we are just coming out of the Asian zone, right? So we're expecting, of course, the weaker, the stronger JPY is expected because you're just coming out from the JPY trading zone. So of course, price has actually sold since morning. It has sold since the early hours of the morning, and then getting down to this support point, So I'm expecting a rebound from this support, pushing price back up. Of course, if you notice, for the past how many days, 1, 2, 3 days, price has been trading in between this region at around here. This resistance and this support, price has been trading. So we have more of a flat market. So there's a opportunity for you to key into that market pattern, right? There's an opportunity for you to key into that market pattern this morning. So I'd be going in for a buy. You could go in for a buy once price is being rejected from this point here. Could go in for a buy once price is being rejected from this point here. So this current candle forming would determine to a large extent what direction the market is going to be going. But personally, I feel looking at it fundamentally, since we don't have any news on JPY, and we're expecting more news from the USD, right? And then technically speaking, price has gotten to a support zone. I'm expecting a rebound from that support back to the resistance point. So I'm going for a buy. You could do an instant buy and key into it early enough, putting your stop loss at around, once if price is able to break that point, of course, you put your stop loss at around price level 140.315. Price level 140.315. I put my stop loss at around that point, and then put my take profit before the next resistance. The next resistance is at 141.869. 141.869. I put my take profit around that at around that point. So you could put in an instant buy, right? You could put in an instant buy. So prices, you see, there's a lot of struggle around there. I'm positive that this candle would end up bearish. This candle would end up bullish rather. This candle will end up bullish as a buy candle, right? So I'm expecting more of a buy move up until the next resistance. So that's my preference for USD JPY for this morning, right? USD JPY. So let's look at USD CAD. Let's look at USD CAD. Then we'll look at some indices. We'll look at gold, and then we'll call it a day. All right. So for USD, for USD CAD, currently you have the CAD has actually let's go back to the currency strength meter again. Let's see what CAD is doing. I didn't pay attention to CAD. Okay, of course, we've had CAD weak. We've had CAD weak, almost as weak as the almost as weak as the AUD. So it's the second weakest currency of the bunch. So we're going to be going in for, of course, we're looking in for buy on USD CAD, but you need to be wary because price has actually gotten to a resistance point, right? Price has actually gotten to a resistance point. So the possibility of price continuing to buy will be dependent on if price breaks above that resistance, pushing price all the way up, right? So the possibility of price buying will be dependent on if price breaks this resistance. So currently price is actually trading technically. Currently price is trading technically. So if you want to go in for a quick trade, right, you might want to follow it technically, but I don't think that sell will last long. So it might just be sticking in your neck for a short-term reward. If you want to stick in your neck for a short-term reward, you might want to do an instant sell back to this support. You might want to do an instant sell back to this support. That will be sticking in your neck for a quick reward, but it's a risky trade though. But you could, I mean, life is all about risks. It's a risky trade, but you could stick in your neck for it. But you also have to pay close attention to your to the trade if you go in for that, right? So you could stick in for an instant sell down to this support, looking at it technically, or you could wait for the fundamentals to play out, allowing price to break above this resistance point. So if price is clearly able to break above this resistance point, you'd want to go in for a buy, right? You want to go in for a buy around price level 1.32027. So if price is able to break above that point, you could shoot in for your buy up until the next resistance. So let me shrink my chart to get where we have the next resistance point. Okay, so we have the next resistance point at around here, right? So that will be giving me roughly around how many pips? Okay, that'll be roughly around 23 pip, right? But if you're shooting in for a quick sell, looking at it technically, you'll be making around 8 pip, right? So if it's worth it, let's see what the spread on this instrument is and see if it's worth going in for that risk. I mean, sometimes I take crazy risks like this, but if you don't really know what you're doing, you might not get. Okay, of course. So the spread on this instrument is very, very is mild. So of course, this is roughly around 2 pip of spread. So you could go in for a quick sell down to, so you'll be making around 6 pip in profit. Of course, if you're doing that, you need to go in with a better lot size, not 0.01. If you intend going into this trade with 0.01, just don't bother wasting your time, please. Right? Don't bother wasting your time. It's just a whole lot of waste of effort. So go in with a better lot size, and that 6 pip would amount to a better amount of profit for you, right? So that's for those that are entering instantly now, just trying to take advantage of the technical move. Or you could wait for price to break above this resistance points down to take your profit before the next resistance at the top, right? At the top. So that's my take on USD CAD, and this is on a 15 minutes time frame. I did this on a 15 minutes time frame. If you're looking at it on a 1 hour time frame, you're still going to get this same analysis, on a 1 hour time frame too, right? The same analysis on a 1 hour time frame too. All right, so let's go to okay, let's look at gold before looking at stocks. Let's look at gold before looking at stocks. So for gold this morning, we've actually had gold push up because of the weakness in dollar. But like I said, the dollar might not stay so weak for so long. It might not stay weak for so long. We're expecting it to actually gain strength as the day progresses. Right, we're expecting the dollar to gain strength as the day progresses, and by the time the dollar starts to gain strength, of course, you should see gold push down. Right, you should see gold push down. So from here, and you can see that gold is currently resting on the resistance point, right? That resistance was formed at around let's look at that. So that resistance was formed at around the 24th, the 24th of this month. 24th, that was the day before yesterday. We had price being rejected at this resistance point, right? So I'm expecting that rejection should still play out, right? I'm expecting that rejection should still play out, right? So I'd want to go in for okay, so I'd want to go in for a sell. My preference on gold would also still be a sell should price be rejected at this point. So I just want us to be patient. Let's go to a 15 minutes time frame and see. Okay, perfect. On a 15 minutes time frame, you could see that rejection has even started playing out. Let me zoom in a little. So on your 15 minutes time frame, we have two inverted hammer. We have a spinning top, and of course, at the resistance point, you're expecting a whole sell move, on gold. If you're looking at it on a 1 hour time frame, you might not see, but look at this rejection has even started playing out also clearly on a 1 hour time frame. But on a 15 minutes time frame, you could see what played out clearly. You have two inverted hammer, you have your bearish confirmation candle, everything you need to have for a sell move to be for a sell move to be your preference. So I'm going in for a sell. You could go in at your current market price for gold, going at your current market price down to the next support zone somewhere at around there, right? Going at your current market price. So I'll go in at current market price, take my profit at around price level 1.962.31. Right, let's look at it on the 1 hour time frame. Yeah, on the 1 hour time frame too, same thing. So I'm going at the current market price based on this rejection at the top here, take my profit at price level 1.962.31. Right, you could decide to take your profit before that point, right? Because of course this is a support point. I wouldn't want you to take your profit on that point. So of course take your profit before that point, right? Before that point, then you put your stop loss somewhat around here. If price is able to now break above this support point, clearly going above this fake out, you have a fake out at around here where price poked its head above that resistance, but it was not sustained. So I want to put my stop loss at around price level 1971.56. 1971.56, right? That's for gold. Right? That's for gold. So let's go into new US 100. Please, if you're new here, I'm seeing a lot of I'm new here, right? If you're new here, please try and attend training, try and attend basic class, try and attend fundamental class to get good understanding of most of these terminologies and most of these tools that we use in trading the markets, right? That would bring you up to speed whenever you join the money market review. The money market review is for people that are already trading, existing traders that are already trading and are just looking at quick opportunities to go into the market. Okay, so that's it for gold. Then let's look at US 100. So US 100 is a stock, an indices rather, consisting of top 100 performing stock in the US, right? It's an indices consisting of top 100 performing stocks in the US. So of course, we should have one thing about indices is that most times they always tend to appreciate, except there is there's a bad news that comes out and hits that index, pushing it down. So most times, whenever price is trading technically, you see it gently appreciating, right? And of course, it has a correlation with the dollar. Whenever the dollar is good, you have stocks fall, because at that point in time, people are not interested in buying stock. They rather put their money into doing businesses in the economy than buy stock. And whenever the dollar is weak, you see the index boost up, because rather than lose the value of your dollar, you buy stock to preserve the value of your dollar. you buy stock or buy shares to preserve the value of your dollar, so that by the time the dollar regains its strength, you can now sell off at the current price at which the dollar is selling at and still retain the value of your dollar, right? So that's how in the correlation between the indices and the dollar works, right? So currently we've had we're having a bullish trend on since the early hours of the morning. US 100 has actually been buying, and of course this is on the 1 hour time frame. US 100 is a very volatile instrument also, and few people on US 100 will still amount to quite a good amount of profit for you, right? So I still would want to push in for or buy up onto this next resistance point, looking at it trading technically on US 100. I still, depending on when the news comes out, I still want to go in for a buy on US 100 down to this next support, down to this next resistance. Looking at it on a 15 minutes time frame, there's still room for you to buy, right? There's still room for you to buy, but please hold on. Let's confirm that buy move, right? So looking at it here, I'm seeing that there's a there's a little bit of a rejection at around here, right? And price being we've had very, very little candles since the early hours of the morning, very little candles, and a push down, push up, and then this is a resistance point. Right. So this is tricky, but what I want to do, because we have news coming out on the dollar, right? I was expecting that would currently be seeing a sell move on most of the indices, but that's not what is in play. So looking at it now, price already approaching a resistance point. Initially I was looking at a continuous buy, but that might not be in play if price gets rejected at around here. So what I'll do is I put in, you could have two preference, right? You could have two preference. You could put in a sell, right? You could put in a sell limit at around here, put in a sell limit at around there. Let's go to a 15 minutes time frame so we have more space on the chart. So you could put in a sell limit at around there before this resistance point at price level 15682.71. I put in a sell limit at around there. So if price gets to that point, it triggers my sell and starts coming back down. So I'm expecting more of this move. Price got all the way to this top here, right? Price got all the way to this top here, and then once it comes gets to that point, it gets rejected and starts coming down, right? So you have something like this, up and then rejection at around there, and price comes down. So I'd go in for a sell limit, or you could go in for an instant sell back to this resistance point. I still feel price will trade in between this region before the news comes out for today. So technically, that will be my the best move for US 100. So a sell on US 100 down to this support zone. Of course, putting your stop loss at around let me change this color. All right. Okay, so of course, putting your stop loss at around 1567 15,683.46. 15,683.46. I put my stop loss at around that point. So if price breaks above this region, then you don't have any business holding on to that sell anymore. Just cut it and move on, right? So we have a sell. You might want to go in for an instant sell, most likely an instant sell down to this next support zone at around price level 15,633.00. 15,633.00 down to that point, right? So that's my preference for US 100. And I think the same thing should be in play for US 2000. Let's look at US 2000. Same thing too, like I said, same thing on US 2000. So if you're looking at it on a 1 hour time frame, because we just want to get quick entries for this morning, I would want to look at US 2000 on a 15 minutes time frame just to get quick entries for this morning. Of course, US 2000 is also at a resistance point, right? US 2000 is also at a resistance point. So I'm expecting a rejection at this point. Let's look at it on a 15 minutes time frame also. Let's see if there are special candlestick. Okay, so looking at it here, you've had this rejection point at around here, right? We've had this rejection point at around there. So on across all the time frames, on the 15 minutes time frame, price is struggling to break above here. On the 30 minutes time frame also, price just got here, and of course there's still a rejection point at around there. So it will be dependent on if price breaks above that point. But of course, we have news on the dollar. I think that sentiment should or price should take to trade technically this morning. We should have a quiet market pending on when the news will come out by 3. So this morning, technically, I'd still want to go in for a sell on US 2000 also, right? Putting my stop loss at around, yeah, let me change this. All right, so I'd want to go in for a sell. From this, you could use your sell limit on this price level, or you could go in for a sell once the rejection starts, right? So you could go in, you could just stay on the chart, wait for the rejections to start, or put your instant sell, depends on your preference. But ensure you have your stop loss at price level 1985.5. 1985.5. Have your stop loss at around that point. Then put your take profit before the next support at price level 1977.6. 1977.6. So my preference for this would also be a sell for US 2000, looking at it technically, right? So I think we've covered up two this in US 100, US 2000. We've covered up gold and a couple of currency pair, right? So I think that's where we'll call it a day. Let's see. That's where we'll call it a day. Okay, let's quickly look at the last instrument, D30. Though we're not expecting any fundamental from the Eurozone, right? But sometimes a ripple effect of the dollar affects the German index sometimes, right? It's not a certain correlation, but sometimes a ripple effect from the dollar also affects the German index, right? But you could see that currently D30 has actually been selling. It's been selling since the early hours of the morning, where we had this inverted hammer with our bearish confirmation candle. Yeah. So, and we've had that further sell up onto this point. Yeah. Price being rejected at this support zone. Right. So what I'd want to do for the for D30 is to I'll most likely be having two preferences, because at this point here, you because of how volatile D30 can be, sometimes it might break, even without a strong fundamental, it might break below, or it might break support zones and resistance zones, right? So except you get a very strong or a verified resistance or a verified support, that's when you have you are certain that D30 might respect that region. So I still would be looking in for a further sell, right? Looking at the candlestick pattern, this is this is still indicating that there's a lot of seller pressure in the market. And if you're looking at it, okay, let's look at stochastic. I have my stochastic indicator on this particular chart here. So my stochastic indicator has gotten all the way to 20. And the rule of stochastic is that if price gets to 20, right? If price gets to 20, it has gotten close to the oversold region. If it goes below 20, it has gotten to an oversold region. So getting to 20 indicates that price has gotten to an oversold region, and most likely you should expect a rebound from there. That means you should be expecting a buy, looking at it technically from my stochastic, right? So, and if it goes to the 80 stochastic level, it's indicating that price has gotten to an overbought region, and once price is at your overbought region, you are expecting price to fall all the way from that point down into a sell, right? So I'm going to be following my stochastic this morning, expecting that price would buy. But like I said, this is on a 1 hour time frame. Let's go in to a 15 minutes time frame. Yes, on a 15 minutes time frame, you could get a clear cut you could get better view of what the market is currently doing. So you could see that rejection has actually come into play, right? That rejection has come into play on a 15 minutes time frame. So a buy will be in order. Even your stochastic is pushing up from your 20 period, right? Even your stochastic is pushing up from your 20 period stochastic level. So I don't want to scalp in for a buy. You could scalp D30 for a buy, going for quick buy and cutting out, because D30 is quite volatile and it's quite profitable. So you could go in for quick buy, instant buy. You could stack your trade, multiple buy, and then, but you need to be on the chart as you need to be on the chart, and you need to be as fast and accurate as possible. You could go do multiple buy and then close out. Scalping this alone should give you good amount of profit for this morning, right? You should be able to make good amount of profit this morning. So you could scalp it up until your stochastic level gets to your 80 stochastic level, right? Or you could scalp a buy up until your stochastic gets to the 80 stochastic level, right? So that's my preference for D30 for this morning. So I'd be sticking out my neck for more of a buy position on D30. So it was nice having you guys. Please note that this analysis, they're not just there for you to take trades, right? They're also there for you to be guided on how this market works, right? The only way you can actually make profit in this market is when you understand how the market works. Most profitable traders are those that have taken out time to understand how this market works and are able to carve out a niche for themselves, right? They understand the price movement, price pattern, and they did further research. It's not just going by what you're being told. You could do further research, right, to improve your knowledge. In this business, I can tell you knowledge is power. And once you have the knowledge, there's nothing anybody can tell you, and you won't go and verify your facts. And that way, you're not making unnecessary losses in the market, right? So it was nice having you guys, and do have a wonderful and profitable and peaceful day.